In optimization, control is the king of the game. If the enemies are stuck and can't do anything to you or your friends while your buddies pepper them with arrows and spells and cantrips and all that, that's a win which conserves hit points and other resources. Now imagine simple movements like walking backwards or ducking in and out of cover. It's going to be hard for your enemies to reach your party to do serious damage. These control spells usually last entire fights. A 1-minute spell is 10 rounds, which is a lot of rounds. Usually a single fight only lasts 4 rounds. Today I want to talk about a very respected spell, but is often, funnily enough, forgotten when compared to other control spells. I want to talk about the cheapest of all AoE shutdown spells. It's so good at its job that you can argue that it's competing with 3rd level spells like Hypnotic Pattern, Fear, and Slow. Welcome to Pack Tactics. Don't sleep on this spell, it's super good. You should sleep on sleep now. Really, Entangle is the new sleep in 2024. There's no changes or nerfs. It's exactly the same as it was in 2014. The good old days. Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Echoes of Divinity. This is an Eldritch Horror sandbox adventure module that will drive your players to madness with 12 new subclasses, over 60 new spells, and new mechanics with bodily mutations and sanity. I've got access to the subclasses and mutations, and they're pretty fun. Salt Eater subclass for Rogue lets you mutate by eating stuff. You really are what you eat. It also lets you steal an entire spell from an enemy spellcaster, which the enemy is completely shut out of. And you get a temporary spell slot to cast a spell. You choose the spell they know. All you need to do to steal a spell is to trigger your sneak attack. Cool, that gives an amazing amount of information on their entire spell list. That's probably metagaming, but either way, I think this is super awesome. I wish I thought of this. As for mutations, there's blessed mutations that give you legendary resistance and lets you fly around, which also affects you visually, of course. And there's cursed mutations, which are all incredibly bad for your character, but that's the point. There's a lot of body horror. You can get a blank Slenderman face, your tongue can turn into gold and you can't lie, bugs can crawl in your skin, that probably tickles. The blood cape is cool though. I want to see it billow. If your character does not have a cool cape, then you're not optimizing. Anyways, the Kickstarter isn't ready yet, but check out their Discord and their website and sign up for their mailing list. Link in the description. They make fun stuff, which I recommend you check out. Back to the video, let's read what Entangle does. First level spell, action, concentration, 90-foot range with a 20-foot cube. Lasts 1 minute. Grasping plants sprout from the ground in a 20-foot square within range. For the duration, these plants turn the ground in the area into difficult terrain. They disappear when the spell ends. A restrained creature can take an action to make a strength athletics check against your spell save DC. On a success, it frees itself from the grasping plants and is no longer restrained by them. Here is the size of the cube itself. In case you're new, if this was a sphere, it would be bigger. It would also be a circle! Yeah. Currently in the game, this is the biggest first level AoE spell in the game. Before, it was Sleep, but that got nerfed in 2024. Let's not get into that, I just want to talk about Entangle. When a creature fails against a restrained condition, they can't move, attack rolls against them have advantage, while they have disadvantage to their attacks. That includes ranged attacks, by the way, which is both a damage increase for your entire party because you guys hit more often, and it boosts the party's defense. The enemies clearly hit less often when they have disadvantage, you know? This is incredible already! Enemies also have disadvantage to dex saves, so that means fireball time! Yay! That's if you have fireball. By the way, fire does not remove the entangle. Anyways, when a creature is restrained, they have to spend an action to make an athletics check against your DC. When they
do that, that means they didn't attack you that round.
Exactly, and they might actually fail the check, which means, well, they'll still be entangled with disadvantage and all of that.
But that's not all, is it, Kobold?
If they break out, the spell is still there. The ground is difficult terrain, which is half movement. That eats up their speed as well. There are so many things this spell is doing to the enemies. It will always do something if the enemies are in it. That can, of course, affect your friends too. Melee marshals go into melee, of course.
They ruin everything.
Well, it might not be that bad. So the entangling itself happens when you first cast the spell. Afterwards, the floor is just covered in difficult terrain so long as you maintain concentration. Even if everybody breaks out of the entangle, that difficult terrain is still there if you're concentrating. That difficult terrain is really good. Remember what I said about walking backwards? That can force creatures to dash because they're in the difficult terrain. Anyways, if you manage to entangle your martial friend and the enemies together, both him and the enemies have advantage and disadvantage to their attacks when attacking each other. That means they attack each other with normal straight rolls. You know, single d20 roll to attack, like normal. This is not a bad thing at all, because the rest of the party who are not entangled are still getting advantage against the enemies who are restrained. This is a net positive to the party, and even to some extent the marshal itself who is entangled. If the party does more damage by hitting more often, then of course the enemy dies quicker, which is beneficial to the marshal. They take less damage on average.
Here's some gator advice. If the marshal gets entangled and the enemies don't, you can drop concentration as a free action.
That can be any time in any initiative. That is unfortunately a wasted spell slot, but hey, it was a first level spell. Also, sometimes stuff like this happens, like fighter uses action surge and misses twice.
By the way, if you're watching this, you might be new and not know who we are. We're the Dungeon Lizards.
No, we're not.
Here's another gator tip. If a warlock buddy casts Hex on an enemy who failed against the Entangle, they can give the enemy disadvantage to all strength checks.
That means they'll have disadvantage on athletics check to break out of the Entangle. That means they'll have like a 30 to 35% chance of breaking out. But that's the average of all the creatures combined. This of course changes with CR2, but it's usually not too dramatic. It's around that ballpark.
Hooray for teamwork!
It's really easy to see when this spell is going to be effective. Lots of enemies already bundled up, hallways, doorways, that sort of stuff. I don't recommend casting this on obvious brutes like hill giants, because they most likely have super high strength saves. Normally this spell is for rangers and druids, but Magic Initiate is an origin feat you can pick up to easily get access to the spell, which is one of the best options if you want very cheap AoE control. If you're still not convinced that Entangle is insane, think of it this way. This spell is very similar to Web. Web has all the benefits of Entangle, but there are two major differences. 1. Web is not a one-time save to get stuck. 2. Web can be set on fire. Entangle can't. Web is considered the silver standard of shutdown spells. And there are strong arguments out there that Web is even stronger than Hypnotic Pattern, Fear, and Slow. This is a second level spell competing with some of the top third level spells in the game. Entangle is half of Web and cheaper. That is a major strength. There are very few creatures who are immune to the restrain condition of Web and Entangle, even at endgame. The only problem Entangle has is it only works on grounds, and lots of enemies are really good at strength saves. It's not as bad as con saves though, so don't worry about that. Seriously though guys, this first level spell is arguably as good as third level spells. It's not exactly there, but it's on the border. It's definitely better than Slow, that's for sure. Slow sucks. Well, Slow is actually okay. It's just all the other control spells are just really, 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 really good. Don't sleep on Entangle for your Magic Initiate pick. I absolutely recommend considering it. That, Shield, and Command are really the big three for Magic Initiate. Keep in mind with that feat, you pick the spellcasting ability on selection. End the video. Remember to check out Echoes of Divinity's Discord or sign up to their mailing list. I absolutely recommend it. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye bye!